Elon Musk just admitted that the moon matters more than Mars. I vividly remember a year ago when Elon said that the moon was a distraction, that we should go straight to Mars, that colonizing Mars was the clear next move. But a few days ago, he announced that SpaceX completely shifted its focus, now prioritizing moon exploration. Not only is it much more difficult to go to Mars because it's hundreds of times further away from Earth than the moon is, but also Mars has to be perfectly aligned with the Earth in order for us to make the hop and travel there most efficiently. That's called the transfer window, and the transfer window to Mars only happens once every 2 years approximately. What he is saying is that Starship is going to be able to land on the moon much more often. He said about every 10 days, which is going to make building a lunar base much easier than building a Mars city. He's saying right here that Mars is a more long-term plan in the next decade, while the moon is just the initial focus and the immediate focus. You may notice that this aligns perfectly with NASA's strategy of sending astronauts to the surface of the moon using a SpaceX Starship lander. You can see here Orion, which is the orbiter that travels to the moon, and the future SpaceX human landing system, which SpaceX is currently working on right now. But SpaceX is on a really tight time crunch. As you can see here, this is what we call the in-orbit propellant transfer. Basically, a Starship, once it gets to space, it needs to be refueled by 10 other Starships in order to have enough fuel to get to the moon and land the astronauts there. We need to prove that these engineering challenges can be done, and SpaceX must do a propellant transfer test this year if they want to land on the moon by 2027 or 2028, which is what NASA wants. The Starship lander setup is a whole other video in and of itself, because this is the Apollo 11 lander and the Apollo program lander, and this is the lander that we want to take in 2027 or 2028. As you can see, it's massive, and it will have an outdoor elevator for the astronauts to get to the surface. This makes it much more dangerous, and it's much harder to land this entire building. So it posed a question, and NASA is actually reconsidering other providers like Blue Origin. This is the Blue Origin lander. It looks a lot more like the Apollo lander. It satisfies the goals, but Blue Origin is going to be a lander for a future Artemis mission. The historic Artemis 3 mission is going to be a SpaceX lander, as far as we know. But I think it's no coincidence that all of these lunar city plans for SpaceX come right at the same time as SpaceX plans to launch IPO. It makes sense, if they're going to be a publicly traded company, that they're going to have to chase all of these NASA contracts, because that's how the aerospace industry makes most of their money, through NASA contracts. And NASA wants to go to the moon first, so SpaceX will probably be going after that because of this IPO.